Well, good day. Now this is probably going to go on for a while because I have a lot to say, but so let me get moving along. First of all, let me kind of refresh your memory. I got this hawk in hopes that this soarhawk in hopes that I would be able to do some car hawking. We are inundated here with these grackles, and I just thought it'd be a lot of fun. I've never done it before, something new, something different, and so I was looking forward to that. And then, of course, as you know, I wanted to make a transition once the winter set in and killed back the cover to rabbits if that was possible. So those were my goals. Well, this soarhawking went out the window. Excuse the pun. But it really did, because I have tried and tried to get the bird to accept the car, being in the car. And I've driven around with it on my fist for not hours, but a while, getting used to that. And then I figured, well, it doesn't like me, so I'll just let it go. And so I've turned it loose in the car, put perches in there for it to, to perch on if it's so inclined to do so, and maybe chill out a bit. I don't know. I use 3 different cars now, thinking that maybe a different car might do the trick, but it didn't. The bird just continually has chosen to go at the windows, and of course you can't car hawk a bird like that. So, as I say, that was that. So the next thing, of course, is the field. I thought, well, gee, if I could just get this bird to come to me, to the fist, then I could at least go out to the field with it and mess around with it out there until, rabbits, or until, the foliage dies back and we have better access to rabbit, that sort of thing. But unfortunately, I was unable to get that bird to respond to the fist, and it was frustrating. It truly was, and this has been a frustrating experience, to be honest. But somebody had mentioned to me about a falconer, about bringing the bird's weight up and then back down, and I'd heard about that over the years. I never had to do it, but I'd heard about it and people having success at it. So I thought, well, maybe that would work, and particularly if I went out there and if I brought the bird back in the house, because that was also suggested, and just kind of start it all over, get its weight up and then start all over in the training process. Maybe I could overcome the fist set. Well, I've thought about it now, and I have, in fact, brought the bird's weight up. I've been feeding it all it can eat here for the past couple of days, thinking I was going to do this, but I've decided not to, and I've decided not to because I just think that ultimately I'm doing it more for myself. I really think so. And I don't want that to be the premise or the motivator, if you will, for training a bird, particularly in this situation. So I'm going to get it killing quail, bobwhite quail in the mews, and hack it out, and that'll be the end of it. But I do want to kind of share with you where I'm at least philosophically anyway, at this point in time in terms of these soarhawks. I really feel, just up front, I'll tell you that I do feel that now that the chances of someone trapping a early trap passes Cooper's, the chances of that bird working out are greater than the chances for than if they were to go out and get a soarhawk. And I'll tell you why I say that. Well, number one, I'll tell you that of all the Passes Coopers that I've had, I've never had a bird. Oh, I take that back. I have two. I had one act like this, so that's part of the reason. Yeah, I remember that bird, and that's part of the reason. But the other reason, and really the main reason, is this bird really got me to thinking about soarhawks in general and where their head must be during this particular point in their life. I mean, there's a lot going on, I would think. They're having to make some pretty rapid adaptations and changes. That I think, complicates things a bit. And I do feel as though to be successful with them, you have to get them at the right time. And that's where that window there is. I don't know. I'm guessing. I don't know this for a fact. It's kind of short-lived, though, I would think. And that's what I'm thinking. Now, granted, we have heard about these success stories with these soarhawks, and we have not heard any, or at least I haven't heard any stories of not being successful with them and whatnot. But the fact of the matter is, we haven't heard much about soarhawks, period. So there hasn't been much written, and I feel that as I've said before, that the story still remains to be written about these birds. The true story still remains to be written about these birds. I mean, people are just naturally not inclined to to lay it out there, to lay their lack of success out there in terms of anything, and particularly when it comes to soarhawks, because after all, this is the puppy dog. It's supposed to be the puppy dog of the Cooper's hawk. They come around real quickly. So I do feel that there's more to be said about this bird, and I'm fairly convinced that you got to get them at the right time. Now, as to the right time, I'd like to point this out. Terrence told me that he's had the best luck with birds that have a little blood in the feathers. So keep that in mind if you're going to pursue this soarhawk. And let me turn this off. Sorry about that. So a little blood in the feathers, unlike my bird, which was hard pinned. So just keep that in mind. That maybe if you have a choice, you might want to consider that. If you don't, well, then you're stuck with what you got, and you'll have to make the best of it, as I see it. But I personally won't try another soarhawk. I just think, as I say, the odds are more in favor of me getting a decent Cooper's if I get an early trap one. I really do. I feel that way. And plus, I'm just, I guess, more comfortable with them now. However, now, okay, let's see. Now, that being said, let me share with you, so everything kind of a list of suggestions that were made along the way with this bird as I was going through the process of training it, so that you might take these into consideration as well down the road if you happen to take one of these birds on. These were all made by falconers, of course. Full immersion, starting off with the training by keeping them soaked. And then another falconer said that when I was whistling, my whistles did not carry an urgent enough tone, so you might want to consider that. And then, of course, Terrence and Mike Malloy, they felt it important to train to the lure, get them hopping up to the fist after the lure, and then let the flying to the fist take care of itself. Another gentleman said to calm the perceived nervousness of this bird around me, I should carry it around for 15 or 20 minutes before trying to call it to the fist, when I was out in the field training. So. Waking was suggested. 4 different people, falconers, of course, thought that I should take more weight out of her. So that was that she was too heavy. One falconer said she was too low, felt she was too low, and that letting her eat before I trained was counterproductive. Another falconer said to use a lesser quality of food to gain response. And then I've already talked about the metabolism thing, bringing her up and down. Another falconer thought that I should bring her back into the house for more socialization because she doesn't, that was not doing her any good by being out there in the mews. And then another one suggested that I get out of bed before daylight, bring her into the house to perch, hooding her if necessary. In other words, if she acted up, just hood her. So those are some suggestions that you should, I think, consider, since I went to now there's one other one that I want to point out to you. It's this came at the end of everything, so it was after the fact. But this falconer felt that I should have began training this bird as a hawk whisperer. Now, for those of you that are unfamiliar with hawk whispering, as I was, let me just kind of quote to you what he says about it in general, so you'll get some sort of idea. It's about the bird thinking that she controls you. This is the idea at the heart of hawk whispering. It takes patience, a gentle hand, and learning to be extremely, and he has the entire word extremely, in tune with the minutiae of the bird's behaviors. Reading her is everything, and staying 2 steps ahead. 2 steps ahead is brutally important. Again, I'm sorry about that, my phone. And staying 2 steps ahead is brutally important. Yeah, it's brutally important. Okay, now, that's, as I say, the gist, I guess, of hawk whispering. And from what he has said, I can tell you now that I could never be a hawk whisperer. I really couldn't. Because I really think to do something like this takes exceptional falconer to pull this off. I mean, just staying 2 steps ahead of the bird, I've not been able to do that. I really haven't. So that may say something about me, but I'm always a step behind, it seems. I'm always responding to the behaviors of the bird rather than being ahead of the bird. I just don't have that ability. And the other thing that takes me out of the realm is he says it takes patience, and I'm sure it does. And that is not my strong suit, patience. It isn't, and I'll admit to that. My goal has always been, in training these hawks, is to get them trained as quickly as possible and then get to the field. That's what I want to do. And so when I've had to spend an inordinate amount of time with hawks, it didn't suit me well. It really didn't. I didn't mind it when I was rehab, because you got to do that. You're dealing with birds there that hawks there that are, they're different animals. So you got to kind of. But for falconry purposes, I just wanted to get out into the field. That's all there is to it. And then he goes on to say, and even then, with birds like this, they're always a short step from the spooky zone, so you always have to be on your toes. And I've been there on that. And again, this revolves around rehab birds, because they, anyway. And that's no fun at all, to be on your toes all the time. I mean, to me, I want to go out there and just enjoy myself as much as possible. So I could never be a hawk whisperer. However, this is something that you might want to consider if you decide to take these birds on. In other words, maybe you should take this approach, read up on it some more, find out more about it, and then take that approach regardless, whether the bird's problematic or not. Just take it as a precaution. Just start off with this hawk as a hawk whisperer, and I think you might have better luck. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out. Now, there's a couple of other things that I wanted to touch on as well. When I first got started on this, I was told by Terrence and Mike Malloy to do the lure thing. Call it to the lure. Don't call it to the fist. Call it to the lure, and then get it hopping to the fist. Start hawking, and then let the coming to the fist take care of itself down the road. I of course didn't do that. I think if I had it to do over again, I would do that. I think it was odd. It was really odd because when I had her in the house initially and I was training her to the fist, she responded. I didn't have any real problems, and I didn't expect any at that point in the ball game. And I ultimately got, I think it was like maybe 30 feet away from her in the house. And she came and everything was fine. But when I went outside, it was a whole different ballgame. And of course, with any bird, when you first go outside with it, they can be a little hesitant. But she was just totally different. As you may recall, she spent, 4 or 5 days initially calling for her parents. And so that was unusual. Different and unusual for me. So I do believe, that again, their mind is in a different place than a passage hawk, for sure. And you just have to compensate for that, I think, and because she just wasn't motivated to come to the fist right from the get-go because she had, as I say, other things going on in her head. And so I think it's probably a good idea to stick with that lure because, they like coming to the lure, ultimately anyway. So if I had to do over, like I say, I probably would have done that. Now, the other thing that I was advised against, here again by the same gentleman, was a hoodie. Now, as I think most of you know, I find a great value in hooding, and I was determined to hood this bird, and I did, of course. But I don't think that helped our relationship at all. I have to say that. I really don't think it helped. So I wouldn't recommend it. I think they were right, spot on in that regard as well. I think if you can, if they'll adapt to the car and you don't mind them, being unhooded in your car, that's probably how you should go with these birds. I really think so. So those were two areas there that, actually 3, because, like I say, the first one was the hawk whisperer thing, but even though that might be the appropriate way to go, I couldn't have done that, but it may very well be the way you should go. And then the fly to the lure and the hooding, I think those things should help out quite a bit. All right, what else? Well, I guess that's about it. I don't know anything else I can add. I am hopeful, though, that this and these videos were done at my expense. So I am hopeful that they are of some value, to those folks who have watched them. as I've said more than once, even if it demonstrates how you should do things, I really do hope that you know, people will get something out of this of value. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you down the road.